Emergency here in South Carolina. She says evacuations will begin of coastal areas at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. All low country schools will be closed effective tomorrow.
She asked for you to keep in mind three things: to get gas, to stay on your evacuation route, and to get 100 miles away from the coast. And they're talking, Bill, about over 1 million people leaving the coastal area of South Carolina, and that's just about 1/4 of the population of our state.
So that means if you want to leave this afternoon or even tomorrow, that might be a better idea than waiting till Thursday, which I know many of you were thinking about doing, to leave. Once again, low country schools, every single low country school district will be closed tomorrow.
And they also mentioned that school buses would be brought from other parts of the state in order to help people who need transportation.
That's right.
For them to be able to leave this area to avoid Hurricane Matthew.
There is a plan to reverse all the lanes on the interstates 526 and I-26 and two highways, one down in Beaufort, Highway 21, and another major highway in Hilton Head. So all of that is coming beginning at 3 o'clock tomorrow, unless we get some good news that the hurricane has veered off. This, of course, in preparation for Hurricane Matthew, which Debbie seems to have us, if not in the bullseye, very close.
And many people may be wondering, is this premature? But she did mention that it is very difficult to move over 1 million people. So in order to do it safely and not have people waiting on the highways and going through the disaster that we have faced before, she is making plans to avoid that and move people. And she again said that it would take several hours.
We're talking about close to 4,000 law enforcement folks out on the highways tomorrow. The good news, too, is there will be comfort stations. That's a euphemism for portalettes, portable bathrooms along the interstate routes in case you have to stop and use them. That was a big problem during the Floyd fiasco, the Floyd evacuation. Debbie, let's go back to our chief meteorologist, Bill Walsh.
Bill?
All right, guys, yeah, I'm just looking at some of the numbers as far as that wind distribution. And again, this storm, the core of the storm is supposed to come right up the South Carolina coast late Friday night into early Saturday. The hurricane force wind core, though, as it approaches, we're looking at around 30 miles southwest, also around 60 miles southwest for 50 knots of wind, and 100 miles southwest, and at about 34 knots of wind, and about 120 miles northwest for that tropical storm force wind. So again, it looks like for the hurricane force winds around 50 nautical miles. So if we are within 50, at least certainly 50 nautical miles of the center of the storm, anybody, whoever happens to be in that path, that's where you'll see those prolonged hurricane force winds, and the wind field will be spreading out. In fact, the winds above tropical storm force will be fanning out to 160 miles northeast of the system and about 120 miles northwest of the system. So obviously a large system is going to come up our way. The things helping to move this storm, again, I'm going to bring it up, and we talked about it in the past. We are looking at the upper ridge driving the storm now, or at least forcing the storm more northwest in time. And this trough we've been kind of watching, this trough right here, is going to be heading to the east coast. Our thought is we'd like it to pick up the storm, as a lot of these have done in the past. Irene, Floyd, a lot of these storms have been picked up and kicked off the coast, and we didn't get a lot. Because Floyd, we did get an awful lot in 99. But with this trough is not as pronounced, and that window of opportunity right here has shifted further to the west as the ridge itself builds back in. As this ridge builds back in, it kind of blocks the storm. It can't turn out to sea too well. So it's got to come up somewhere in here. So that opens up the whole entire South Carolina, Georgia, Florida coast to the hurricane. And even if it's along the coast, Governor Haley mentioned this too, don't focus on that one line, because this storm is wide. As I said, the wind's out, tropical storm force, by the time it gets up this way, 170 miles northwest. So that's winds above 39 miles an hour. And we had Hermine, we had 62, 63 was the highest gust with Hermine. We had a lot of trees down and stuff like this. This one, though, the core of the system is going to come close enough to cause much more damage, I think, than what we had with Hermine, as we kind of take a look at that. Let me go ahead and show you again the models. These are the GFS models we talk about so much. And again, this is 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock Saturday morning. It places the storm right here within probably 60, 70 miles of the coast. And again, a little, and we're still, a couple of days out. The storm's still 1,000 miles away. So if this nudges even a little further west, maybe making a landfall at Edisto Beach or down along the south coast, that's even worse for us, because the storm surge is going to be higher, and the hurricane force winds are going to be closer to the populace. So again, that's why we're watching that. That's one model, and then it pulls away by 7 o'clock Saturday night, and then by Saturday almost midnight off the Outer Banks. That's one model here. The other one's the European, and this is midnight Saturday into Friday night to early Saturday morning. Again, has the storm just to our south and east, and then by 7 a.m. it pretty much has it just along the coastline. So both of these models keep coming back saying, you know, this is going to be a close call. These things are